I have 10 pairs of glasses, Dennis. I leave one everywhere.
We are live.
Thank you, everyone. So I will just call the meeting to order, and our first item of business will be the election of the officers. So I just wanted to open up the floor now and ask for a nomination for the chair.
I was going to suggest that we go on with whoever was last year, but I think that was Ron Higgins, and I don't see him as chair. So I propose Ron Vanderwall.
Is there a seconder for that? I need a seconder for that motion.
Both Fran and Lisa seconded.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not watching the screen.
Oh, okay. So take your pick, I guess.
Okay, and are there any other nominations for the chair? So seeing none, could I just get a motion to close nominations?
I move we close nominations.
And a seconder? Barbara? And all those in favor? So that's carried. Councillor Vanderwall, do you accept that nomination as chair?
I can. The only suggestion I was going to have, if you were going to leave anything in place, the only constant we know is Fran.
We'll be looking at naming new members come the new term, I believe.
Yes, so this committee will, this term of this committee will end November 14th.
And that's fine.
Okay. So then we just need a nomination for a vice chair.
I nominate Francis.
And is there a seconder for that? Lisa? And are there any other nominations? Okay, so seeing none, could I just get a motion to close nominations?
I shall so move.
And a seconder for that? Lisa? So Councillor Smith, do you accept the nomination as vice chair?
Yes, I do.
So Councillor Vanderwall, I will turn the meeting over to you now.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Then we will have a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Lisa Henderson. That the agenda for October the 11th meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be adopted. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, adoption of the minutes.
I shall move to adopt the minutes.
Moved
I'll
by,
second that.
okay. Dennis, seconded by Fran. Any questions or comments on the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee held the 11th? No, September 9th, I guess. If there are no comments, all in favor?
2021, yes.
2021, yeah, carried.
We all remember that meeting, I'm sure.
Yes. And the next one says adoption of the minutes for this meeting, so I don't think we should do that yet. Deputations and or presentations briefing, Jeanette Amimi, Manager of Legislative Service Clerk, will provide a Community Development Advisory Committee with a briefing. Jeanette?
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Vanderwall. So this is really just to let the committee know that earlier this year and late last year, the County of Frontenac had an advisory committee, which was the Procedural Bylaw Review Advisory Committee, and it did a comprehensive review of the county's procedural bylaw. And part of that review was looking at all of its advisory committees that we have in place. So the decision was made in terms of allowing for more continuity, as well as recognizing that both the Planning Advisory Committee and the Community Development Advisory Committee, which deals with a lot of economic development, really fit hand in hand together. So in order to ensure some continuity in terms of regular meetings, as well as making sure that both committees are hearing what the other ones are saying, it was decided that the two committees be blended together. So next year, as opposed to just having a planning advisory committee and a community development advisory committee, the two will be blended into the planning and economic development advisory committee. So I did attach the mandate to the agenda for everybody to see. It really is sort of a combination of what planning was looking at, as well as what economic development was looking at. So both the procedural bylaw review committee as well as council agreed that the membership on that committee would continue to be 4 members of county council. So there would be 1 member from each municipality, and then 4 community representatives from the township of each municipality. So previously for this committee, for example, it was suggested that the 4 mayors of each of the townships be presented on this committee simply because they were eligible for warden. But because this new term of council will allow anybody or any member of council to be warden, they've just kept it at 4 members of county council, 1 from each township. So that is the composition of the committee. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the mandate really is a blend of what is happening with the 2 committees presently. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. We just wanted the committee to know prior to, because you will not see advertisements going out this year specifically for a planning advisory committee. It will be for a joint committee.
And there's a motion later on to address that or not?
No, this is just a briefing to let the committee know
Okay.
what is happening with this committee next year.
Okay, Warden Doyle?
I was just scratching.
Oh, okay. Any questions for Jeanette? None? Okay, we will move on to Mr. Gallivan.
Yeah, good morning, committee members. Just want to give you a brief presentation of what we've been up to, because it has been a while since this committee's been together, to tell you the work we've been up to and where we're going for next year. Jeanette, do you have control of the slides?
I do not, but I can certainly pull them up. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Okay, just let me know when you want me to flip through the slides, Joe.
Thank you, Jeanette. Well, you can go to the next slide right now, please, and thank you. Yeah, so again, thank you, committee members. Just a short presentation. So where are we right now? Just a couple of things to let you know where we are physically. As you're all aware, our office is undergoing renovations right now, so it is closed. It's a joint project with the Cataraqui Region Conservation Authority, and we as county staff are not expected to return right now until early 2024. Having said that, we have been meeting with the CRCA and we've been to their building. So the plan in terms of renovations is the lower floor of the county building where we used to hold county council and where the paramedics work, that area will be finished first. Sometime, I think early next spring. And once that happens, Conservation Authority staff will be moving into their new offices, which leaves their building vacant. And our plan is to be able to move in there. When I say we, I mean our planning and economic development team will move in there. The paramedics supervisors are in there right now, but there'll be space for us to move in early 2023, January 23, I hope. So we don't have to continue to work from home. Planning inquiries and application, the numbers remain high, and I'll show you a couple charts in a moment, but I can advise that since we've had the changes in the economy, both globally and nationally, there has been a reduction of inquiries from our peak in 2021, and we've noticed that since probably middle of this summer. So there is a bit of a downturn in terms of inquiries, but we're still busy, as I'll show you in a moment. Next slide, please, Jeanette. This is a chart of the total planning hours we spend working for the 3 townships. This includes not only the development review, attending committee meetings and council meetings, but also the bigger projects such as the Central Frontenac official plan update, also secondary plans like Marysville, or the work we've done with Central on Charlotte Lake. And you can notice, they'll draw your attention to the year 2019, where we had just under 1,600 total hours. And you can compare that to 2021, where we're over 2,400 hours. So you can see what COVID did to our department in terms of inquiries. And it's not just Frontenac, I'm sure you know, it's all over Ontario. But fortunately, council did agree to let us have another planner in 2020, and that's certainly made a difference in us meeting our deadlines and so on. Next, please. And just more recently, July and August, we were still slightly busy. You can see that North Frontenac and Central, we had a number of applications that showed that there's still a lot of things happening in those 2 townships. We're at about 65% of where we were in 2021. And if you have any more detailed questions on that when I'm finished, Sonia can help as well, because she's involved day to day with those applications. Next, please. So some of the ongoing work we've been involved with, of course, the communal servicing project, which has been ongoing since 2018. We're getting near the end of the process of establishing a regional utility, creating what's called a municipal services corporation. That proposal has been endorsed by both Central Council and South Council, and it's on the agenda tonight at Frontenac Islands Township. I'll be attending that meeting. And the goal is to work on establishing this utility in the first quarter of 2023 and get it up and running. Next, please. Number of other projects. So the Natural Heritage Study, which is the region-wide review of our natural environment and what we should protect and shouldn't protect, recognizing that Frontenac has got a lot of natural features that have to be considered for protection. Council approved the budget for that in 2022, but due to our workload, we weren't able to start the work. It will commence in 2023. There will be public consultation, of course, and it's probably going to take us a full year to do that work. Community planning permit system implementation. So the mayors may remember in 2020, the 4 townships in the county did a joint municipal services review, looking at ways of improving how we deliver our services in all facets. And the major recommendation for streamlining the planning process was implementing what's called community planning permits, which is a planning tool that combines zoning, minor variances, and site plan into one process. And it also provides for some of those approvals to be delegated to staff. The consultants determined we would save hundreds of hours a year and save thousands of dollars in cost to each township in terms of our planning services. So last month, Sonia and I met with township planning staff from all 4 townships, and we talked about moving forward with this project. And we'll continue to have those conversations, but generally there was support from township staff of doing this. focusing it primarily on waterfront areas, not all of the geography in each township. And we're using, as an example, there's a municipality in the Muskokas called the Municipality of Lake of Bays. They've been using this process for about 10 years on their waterfront, and it's been very successful. And it's really improved in terms of delivering planning service to the township. We've talked to them and they're very positive about it. So the goal is to speak to your 4 councils early in 2023 before you start your budget. There is a budget issue item that we want to talk to each township. And the proposal is that the county would do the RFP and manage the work, and the 4 townships would share the cost of hiring a consultant to do that work. Regional Community Improvement Plan, that project is being led by the Economic Development team, but we're certainly involved as well in terms of making sure that it follows the rules under the Ontario Planning Act. There has been discussions across the county this year, and it will look at providing financial incentives for new businesses across the entire region. That'll be delivered to County Council early next year. County Official Plan. So it was adopted by County Council in 2014 and approved by the ministry in 2016. It's not a detailed plan. It's purposely a high-level regional plan, but it is time for us to review it and add new policies, for example, on private roads and communal services, and making sure it's consistent with the provincial policy statement. So that's in our work plan commencing probably middle of next year. In terms of subdivisions, we have a number of ongoing files right now, and Sonia is working on setting up another public meeting with the committee in November on one of these files. But we expect, if the communal services utility is established, the demand is there. The developers have told us that there'll be very likely an increase in subdivision activity over the next few years, and not just potentially residential subdivisions, but also employment land areas. So that could be very interesting for the next term of all 5 councils. Next, please. I want to highlight a couple of pieces of work that we've been working on for the last couple of years that have positive implications for each of the communities. The first is the Charlotte Lake Communal Services Feasibility Study. Next, please, Jeanette. There is a page on the Engage Frontenac website committed to this project, and essentially Township Council purchased a public school site right in the heart of the village of Charlotte Lake. They were considering developing it for seniors housing. The steps to move forward were paused while council said, let's take a look at what would happen if we developed the site not on standard septic and well, but on communal services. Next, please. So this is an image of what could potentially go on that site. The study is completed and it was delivered to Township Council last month. Essentially, what the study proved is that if it's developed on communal services, and the study showed from an engineering perspective, it can definitely happen with the water coming from Charlotte Lake and being treated and put back into Charlotte Lake. Potentially up to 50 residential units on the site. That's could definitely happen. And there's also opportunities for the township to decide if they want to put other properties into that system. So for example, right beside this property is the township's Soldiers Memorial Hall, the community hall where council meetings are held. There's a lot of activity on the property, and that could be hooked in as well. So Township Council accepted this study. It has been finished. And they've now told staff to come back early next year with an implementation plan on the next steps to move forward to make something happen on the property. And the other piece of work, and Sonia is going to do a presentation for you here shortly, is on the Village of Marysville secondary plan. That work started in 2019. Next, please, Jeanette. Just an aerial view of the village. And I'm sure you're all aware that the biggest change happening to Wolf Island is the arrival of the new ferry, which will have more capacity and will be permanently docking in the village, unlike now where it docks at Dawson Point in the wintertime. So if you live in the village in a couple of years from now, you'll be able to walk down to the ferry, get on the ferry, arrive in Kingston and walk to work, whether you work downtown or at Queens or whatever, or catch Kingston Transit. We had population projections done to see what that improvement in ferry service would do. And it basically said 300 new residents over the next 20 years. And Township Council should be commended for having the foresight to do this work. Next, please, Jeanette. Which you'll hear in a few minutes, is recommending adding an additional 90 acres right beside the existing village fabric for future residential development. So Township Council held a number of public meetings over the last 3 years, a lot of public involvement. And we're at a point now where Township Council has adopted the plan, and now it's going to be going in front of you today, and then hopefully to County Council at their next meeting. And this slide deals with Bill 109, and I would ask Sonia to speak to this, please.
Really, good morning, everybody. So there have been a number of changes to various provincial acts over the last year or two, certainly a lot of changes to the Planning Act. The most recent one came about this spring through Bill 109, which is the More Homes for Everyone Act. So county staff have been working with staff in each of the townships about how to go about implementing this legislation. Most of the current changes proposed impact mostly the township level planning applications, so official plan amendments, zoning bylaw amendments, and site plan control. So one change that has been done, all councils are required by July 1st of this year to delegate the approval of all site plan control applications to staff. That was a requirement of the province. So we were able to help each of the townships. I think South already had a delegation bylaw, so they were in good hands there. But the other 3 townships did not. So we helped put in place that delegated authority bylaw for site plan control. The next major change comes about as of January 1st on 2023, where if municipalities do not make decisions on official plan amendments, zoning bylaw amendments, and site plan control applications within the provincial timeframe that is given in the Planning Act, they're going to be required to start refunding fees to applicants. So I've been working with staff at each of the townships on what we can do with respect to our application processes for these applications to avoid refunding fees in the future. So we're still working those details out. And one of the things we're going to have to start doing is just making some changes to first the county official plan and then the township official plans to kind of redefine what is a complete application, what the pre-application consultation process should look like. So you'll start seeing some of those changes coming back at the November 10th meeting next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. I think just one more slide to talk to you about. So we've started work at the staff level on next year's county budget. And I can advise the committee that at this point, our department is not recommending any new project proposals to be considered by County Council in 2023, both on the planning side and the economic development side. Next year is, I considered, a catch-up year for us with all the policy work that's already been approved, and some of the work I've already highlighted with you that we expect to start picking up next year. So I just wanted to let you aware of that at this stage. And I think that's it. Jeanette, is there any? Yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, members of the committee, I'd be happy to answer them.
Joe, I have one, and it relates to development charges study that we talked about doing at budget time. I didn't see that in any of the work plan. Is that still on the table for us to do?
I see Kelly is on the line. Kelly, do you have any comments on that? I'm not sure what the status of the DC work is.
Thanks, Joe, and my apologies for the road noise. We have a draft RFP, but the timing got too close to the election. So the Township of Central Frontenac has given preliminary indication they wish to be part of that The islands in south already do, and north has said they don't want to be part of it. So we'll finalize that during the election period and hopefully be out to RFP early in the new year.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Gallivan? Seeing none, then we will.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Then we will ask Sonia Bolton to do the staff briefing.
Okay, I'm going to just share my screen here and start the slideshow. Can everybody see that now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everybody. So it's my pleasure to be able to present to the committee today the official plan amendment for the Marysville secondary plan. The purpose of the official plan amendment is to implement the secondary plan that was completed back in 2020. There has been quite a bit of public consultation over the course of the development of the secondary plan as well as with the official plan amendment. So there were open houses for the secondary plan held back in 2019 prior to COVID, and as well as some online engagement. There was also an in-person open house in April of this year with respect to the draft official plan amendment. The intent, of course, is to incorporate these changes into the Township of Frontenac Island's official plan. And as required by the Planning Act, the Township Council actually had two statutory meetings, public meetings for this amendment, one on May 9th of this year and the other on July 5th. And it has been adopted by the Township Council and is now in front of the committee with a recommendation that it be forwarded to County Council for final approval. Just a little bit of background, as Joe had mentioned, Marysville is expected to grow with the arrival of the new and larger ferry and the permanent docking site in Marysville year-round. The population projections indicated approximately 300 new residents living on Wolfe Island. According to the Ontario Provincial Policy Statement, the majority of growth that happens in municipalities is to be directed to settlement areas. So Marysville is the only settlement area on the island. And the majority of lands outside of Marysville are designated as prime agricultural land, which comes with it with restrictions for creating new residential lots. So the secondary plan was initiated by the Township Council to help determine where and how the village should grow. Just a bit of a visual to guide you through one of the key changes that took place. Prior to the official plan amendment being drafted, the proposal was the expansion area would be more to the east here, as well as a little bit to the west of Road 95. Of course, there's a proposal also for a bypass road to link Road 95 to 7th Line. Following some of the public consultation that was done during COVID and discussions amongst staff, the recommendation for the actual official plan amendment was to change it so that the entire expansion area would lie south of the existing village and be within the area of Road 95 and 7th Line. And just to give you a bit of an aerial shot here, so this is sort of the community area here. It would be these lands here. I think originally the consultants had stayed away. There's a bit of a wet area here, so there is going to be a need for some additional environmental work by whomever decides to go ahead and develop these lands. But in terms of a rationale for that change, it would better connect all of the development in that new area to the existing fabric of the village. Road 95 is an arterial road, and it was thought that it would essentially split the new neighborhoods into, it would be a bit of a barrier. All the new development is now within walking distance to the community center grounds and can connect to the existing street network. And it would make better use of the proposed bypass road that is to be constructed and essentially decrease the amount of overall road construction that would be required in a new development. So that's the rationale why the change in terms of the expansion area that was proposed by staff and adopted by the Township Council. Some other issues that came up during public consultation was sort of the look and the feel of it. The policies in the official plan amendment speak to village design standards that are going to be done by the township so that new development doesn't look suburban in nature. It blends in more with the fabric of the existing village. We would maintain connections to the existing streets, but most of those connections would be for active transportation. The street fabric there is very narrow. So we would have connections for pedestrians and cyclists, but actual street connections for other vehicles would be more limited. One exception would be, for instance, Division Street is wide enough to allow for full vehicular traffic. Servicing, all new development will be, that is proposed in the expansion area will be on communal services using lake water instead of wells. And the official plan amendment also includes policies for the water area. So protecting the approach area and docking for the ferry as it comes into Marysville, as well as policies for the potential for a marina should the township or a private proponent in the future want to proceed with a marina on the islands. There are some policies that speak to how that could occur within the boundaries of the village itself. So our recommendation to the committee is that this official plan amendment for the Township of Frontenac Islands be recommended to County Council for approval as adopted by the township bylaw. There is one recommended modification that we as county staff were making, and it is just technical in nature. One of the changes in the township bylaw was the removal of a policy that spoke to 75% intensification, which is now out of date based on what we now know with the population projections and the fact that intensification is limited in the existing village because of private services. So this number was actually repeated in another area of the official plan, and that just got missed. So we want to take it out of both sections of the official plan. So it's just a minor removal of that 75% intensification number out of both areas of the official plan. And I believe that is the last slide. So I'm certainly happy to take any questions that the committee members may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Sonia?
Ron, I have a question. Could you put the map back up, Sonia, where the east-west split was?
Here, that one or?
The next, that one right there.
Okay.
Third one. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
The building in the middle, the white roof, is that the seniors complex?
No, I believe that is the covered rink there. The seniors complex is actually just within the expansion area, I believe, just down.
Okay.
That's correct.
And what happens to that other property to the east where we have backed it off? Is that still in a development area phase?
So it has,
there.
yeah, right in here. It has current zoning on it. Obviously, the intent is not to remove anything that's here right now. So anybody looking to develop in this area, unless they are planning on purchasing and redeveloping, they would have to incorporate these existing buildings and properties into their development scenario.
Okay, and when you go to slide number 4, that little jaunt to the, I guess, south, would it be? Towards the water anyway.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, what zoning are those pieces of property in?
I believe, I would have to double check, but I believe they are rural. I don't believe that they are within the existing village zoning.
Okay, but they still could be built up.
A lot of it's church property and the old cemeteries and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And they're very rocky, hard to develop.
Sure, well, and not something you'd want to change, right? I just wondered why it shifted from there.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Anyone else have any questions? I guess my only comment is I think that's very good forward thinking for the future of Marysville. I don't know if the city of Kingston wants to contribute to all of their economic growth on the island, but anyway. I think it's a good plan. I guess if there are no other questions or comments, thank you, Sonia.
You're very welcome.
There is a recommendation, Jeanette?
Yes, so we just, so that's moved by Councillor Smith and seconded by Warden Doyle that the County of Frontenac Planning Advisory Committee recommends to County Council that bylaw number 2022-20 of the Township of Frontenac Islands adopting official plan amendment number 7 for the Marysville Secondary Plan dated September 12, 2022, and included as attachment 1 to report number 2022-112 be approved, and that the official plan of the Township of Frontenac Islands as amended be further amended as per Township Bylaw number 2022-20 in attachment 1 to report number 2022-112 being official plan amendment number 7 for the Marysville Secondary Plan. And finally, that the official plan of the Township of Frontenac Islands as amended be further amended by County Council through a technical modification to remove the words, quote, and 75% in the Marysville from section 4.8.3 IB of the document.
Any other comments? All in favor? That's carried. There are no communications. There are no other, well, I don't know. Is there any other business? Next meeting, I guess, will be at the call of whoever. And if there is nothing else, then I guess we'll ask to adjourn. Anybody want to move that by Barb Sproul?
Everybody's hand went up.
There you go. I don't know if you need a seconder. Seconder is Lisa, that we adjourn. All in favor?
Have a good day,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.